Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, Ida deposited $3,540 at the 7th National Bank. Suppose that the bank has a rate of 5.4% in simple interest or compound interest. How much more money does Ida earn if she invested to 8 years with compound interest than with simple interest? So, what is it that I'm supposed to be looking for? Well, it looks like they want me to compare, right? Because it says how much more money. So right there, I know I'm going to be comparing, right? So we want to compare how much would she get if she invests the money with a compound interest rather than the simple interest. So right now, we're going to have to work out the problem in both. We're going to work it out with a compound and we're going to work it out with a simple interest, okay? So how much money are we talking about? Well, it says that she deposited 3,540. And it's also telling us the rate that they're going to be giving you as an interest, which is 5.4%. And we know the number of years, which is 8. So I think we got all the information, right? So let's start with the first formula. So we're going to do the simple interest. How about that? That's a little bit faster, right? Because I do know already that P is the principal, which is how much money are we talking about? And that would be 3,540. Okay? Now the R is the rate, which is right up here. But notice how the rate is a percent. So remember, we never ever leave it as a percent. So my 5.4%, I will change 5.4 over 100. Remember, I changed that percent to a decimal by dividing it by 100. And that will give me 0.054. Okay, so I am going to write it down here. That's my rate. How about the time? How many years are we talking about? 8, right? It says right there, 8 years. So we're going to write down 8. Okay? Now remember that I stands for interest. That doesn't mean how much money Ida has in the bank. It says interest only. Okay? And I'm going to write it down over here. So if I put all that in the calculator, okay, I will get, what number do I get? I get $1,529.28. Now remember, that's how much interest she will earn if she was to put him on a simple interest. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So now I want to find out how much money would she get if she was to do it by compound. Okay, so I have my formula right here for compound. And yeah, the formula is a little bit longer than the first one. Just be with me because it's pretty much the same thing. Now, just remember that A, that's not interest. That is the total amount. Okay? So total amount means how much money would you have in the bank after that many years. So the principal is still the same, 3,540, right? I put parentheses, you don't need it, but since we're going to be inputting everything on the calculator, I'd rather have parentheses. And the one, you still leave it there. The rate is the one that we got earlier, which is, let me go back on this one. I was going to just put the point, but no. Let's go ahead and make sure that we write down the decimal. So that will be, okay, so let me write down the rate, which is going to be 0.054 to the t power. That means an exponent, right? And the t stands for the time, and that's 8 years, okay? And we're going to go ahead and input all this on the calculator. So let me go back to this one. So notice how P, it's how much money we're talking about. It's the same thing on both, right? It doesn't change, okay? Now the R is the rate that we're using, which is 0.054, and that's the rate, the same thing on both. The difference is that on the compound, notice how time is being raised to a power, okay? So that makes a big difference. Anytime that you raise something to a power, it should make a big difference, okay? And the last one here, it's actually the time, which is 8 years. Notice how my time on the compound, it's the exponent, right? So that's the reason why we see a difference in there, okay? So if I input all this on the calculator, okay, I will get $5,391.73, okay? Now, that's not the final answer. A means the total amount. If I want to compare how much more money would she earn, okay? Now remember, we're talking about earn, which is right here. That means interest, okay? So how much more interest would she get on the compound than on the simple? So please don't look at the numbers and say, oh, wow, in the compound, she earned $5,391. No. That's how much money is in the bank after those 8 years. So if I want to know how much interest she actually earned, I will need to take away or subtract the money that she started with. And the money that she started with is $3,540. Okay? Because this is how much she started with. That's her principal. Okay? So if you subtract those numbers, okay, now this is going to be my interest, $1,851.73. Now, this is the interest that she earned. So now I can compare, because I can compare interest on the simple and interest on the compound, right? So I can see that the compound gives you more interest than the simple, right? So we're going to have to subtract both numbers, which is $1,851.73, minus the ones on the simple, which is $1,529.28. Okay? If you subtract those numbers, we get $322.45. So now that's how much more money she gets on the compound than on the simple. Okay? So my answer for this is letter A.